Eddie was in the prime of his life, 38 years old, in the prime of his career. So tonight, we celebrate the life of Eddie Guerrero.
Now, it's not all sunshine and rainbows in pro wrestling, and sometimes the nature of it can be downright depressing. And many fans are unaware of the true realities of what happens in the world of professional wrestling, and particularly WWE. While some fans think that WWE is an honest, transparent company and all their performers are happy, well-off performers, the reality couldn't be more different. Now, we're sorry to rain on everybody's parade, but here are 10 of the most depressing facts about WWE. Now be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Number 1. Everyone on the Wrestlemania Challenge video game cover has passed away with the exception of Hulk Hogan. A WWE Wrestlemania Challenge was a game released in 1990 for the Nintendo Entertainment System. The game itself was pretty basic. It featured small movesets for each wrestler, and each match was presented at a high angle, giving the developers a chance to view wrestlers' stamina bars which were presented along the apron. The features included one-on-one matches, tag team matches, and Survivor Series style matches, and the cover featured Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant, the Ultimate Warrior, the Big Boss Man, and the Macho Man. Now, the unfortunate fact is only one of these cover superstars is still alive today, and that individual is the immortal Hulk Hogan. A sad statistic when you look at it, as it boils down to just 20% who are alive on the cover. What's also similarly depressing is the number of deceased wrestlers on the Rage in the Cage box art, the game made exclusively for Sega CD. Now, out of the 20 wrestlers on the box art, 7 are deceased, which include Macho Man Randy Savage, Mr. Perfect, the Big Boss Man, Kamala, Yokozuna, Crush, and Bam Bam Bigelow. It's bad, but probably not as bad statistically as Wrestlemania Challenge. Number 2. Mr. Kennedy was the last person to wrestle Eddie Guerrero and Umaga. Eddie Guerrero's last ever match took place on the November 11th, 2005 edition of SmackDown. Eddie would face Mr. Kennedy, and he would win via disqualification after using his trademark lie, cheat, and steal tactic. This would be the culmination of an Eddie face turn, as Eddie would once again be positioned as one of the top baby faces in the company. And Kennedy would be asked during an interview with Sportskeeda on how he felt being the last ever opponent for such a legendary wrestler in Eddie. Kennedy stated, "I'm just fortunate to have been able to wrestle Eddie in any capacity. It sucks that it was his last match, but he was awesome. I remember after the match he had a few things, a few corrections, just taking my time a little more in the beginning." Now, Mr. Kennedy would also be the last ever opponent for Umaga, as using the name Mr. Anderson, he would wrestle Umaga at an independent show on November 28, 2009. Umaga would then unfortunately pass away just under a week later as a result of a heart attack. Number 3. WrestleMania 6 has the highest death toll of any pay-per-view. Now, a lot of wrestlers unfortunately pass away at a young age. This is especially true in wrestlers from an era where it was ruled that you could only succeed at the top level if you had an impressive physique. Now, to highlight this fact, WrestleMania 6, which took place in 1990, has the highest death toll of any WWE pay-per-view in history. Names on the show that are no longer with us include Andre the Giant, Earthquake, Hercules, Mr. Perfect, Bad News Brown, Roddy Rowdy Piper, Dusty Rhodes, Sapphire, Randy Savage, Sherry Martel, Dino Bravo, Big Boss Man, Rick Rude, Jimmy Snuka, Jim Neidhart, Bobby Heenan, and the Ultimate Warrior. 17 names that appeared on the show in 1990 are sadly no longer with us, which ultimately works out to almost half of the entire match card. Number 4. Ric Flair was stolen as a baby. And Ric Flair is without a doubt one of the most decorated and celebrated wrestlers of all time.
Kiss stealing, woo, wheeling dealing, limousine riding, jet flying, son of a gun.
However, what many fans don't know is that Flair has a hidden story that is terrifying to recall. For the background to the story, we have to discuss a woman named Georgia Tann. Tann was a woman who, between the years of 1924 to 1950, made it her sole mission to run a black market dedicated to the sale of children. She would orchestrate the theft of children from deprived families, and the child in question would then be sold to wealthy families across the US. Now, it was reported that up to 5,000 children were victims of Tann's criminal activities, and up to 500 children sadly passed away. Ric Flair's book revealed that Flair was in fact one of the children sold, and he has never met his biological parents. Number 5. Eddie Guerrero was supposed to face HBK at WrestleMania 22. Now, before Eddie Guerrero's tragic passing in 2005, WWE were making future storyline plans for the former WWE champion. One of the ideas that was being thrown around was the idea of Eddie working with Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 22 in one of the featured matches. Now, during a recent discussion on the Something to Wrestle podcast, Bruce Pritchard revealed it was kicked around as a possibility because they never worked together, and that was, at least in my head, a dream match. That was one of those that I definitely would love to have seen. Now, it's safe to say that Eddie vs HBK on the grandest stage of them all had the potential of being one of the greatest matches of all time, not just in WrestleMania history, but WWE history. Number 6. The only person left alive from the Hart Foundation is Bret Hart. The Hart Foundation was one of the most successful tag teams, and at the time one of the most successful stables of all time. The initial tag duo of Bret Hart and Jim Neidhart went down as one of the greatest tag teams in pro wrestling history and managed to win the tag titles on numerous occasions. In '97, Bret joined forces once again with Neidhart alongside the British Bulldog and Brian Pillman and Owen Hart. The stable would be called the Hart Foundation, but they would all be heels and deliver some of the most memorable moments of the early Attitude Era. Sadly, as of 2020, Bret Hart is the only member of the legendary faction still alive. Pillman passed away in '97, the British Bulldog passed away in 2002, Jim Neidhart sadly passed away in 2018, and of course, Owen Hart passed away in 1999. Number 7. Chris Benoit was supposed to be the face of the ECW brand. And before the tragic passing of Chris Benoit and his family, WWE had plans to position Benoit as the face of the ECW brand. The idea was to begin at Vengeance Night of Champions in 2007, as Benoit would defeat CM Punk to win the ECW title and would then go on to have a lengthy run with the title on the Extreme brand. The idea was for Benoit to work with younger talents on the show such as Punk, Johnny Nitro and The Miz. However, due to the events that unfolded in the summer of 2007, WWE were forced to change plans. Instead of the planned Benoit rule over the brand, they opted for John Morrison to be the face of the brand and feud with Punk for a couple of months. This sadly didn't exactly light the world on fire. Number 8. Eddie Guerrero was supposed to win the world title prior to his passing. And by the time Eddie Guerrero passed away in 2005, he was once again one of the top babyfaces in the entire company. Eddie, despite being a fantastic heel during his feud with Rey Mysterio throughout 2005,
Dominic comes home with me tonight,
was just far too beloved to remain a heel. WWE's plans prior to Eddie's passing involved him once again winning the world title from Batista. Stephanie McMahon famously revealed that Eddie had the WWE title taken away from him in 2004 because the pressure got to him, but he would have had the world title put back on him in late 2005. I combined this with Eddie's planned match with HBK for WrestleMania 22, and it's such a shame that one of the greatest of all time left us so early. Number 9. WrestleMania 26 is the oldest WrestleMania with everyone on the card still alive. Now, we previously mentioned that WrestleMania 6 has the highest death toll of any WWE pay-per-view, but another sad fact is that WrestleMania 26 is the oldest WrestleMania event with everyone on the card still alive. Now, bear in mind this is only a decade-old pay-per-view, so this is quite a shocking fact. Now, for some background, WrestleMania 25 featured Jimmy Snuka and Roddy Piper, both of whom have sadly passed away. WrestleMania 24, on the other hand, featured Ashley and Umaga, who are no longer with us. And number 10, half of the Radical stable have passed away and the other half almost did. The Radicals were a stable that debuted in WWE in early 2000. They consisted of Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit, Perry Saturn and Dean Malenko. 4 amazing wrestlers and arguably 4 of the best pure wrestlers to ever lace up a pair of wrestling boots. Sadly, as of 2020, 2 members of the faction have passed away and the other 2 almost did in horrendous and unpleasant ways. It's common knowledge that the 2 members who have already passed away are Eddie and Benoit, but what many fans don't know is that Perry Saturn almost suffered a similar fate. Saturn was shot whilst coming to the aid of 2 women who were being assaulted by 2 men. Following this, Saturn became addicted to methamphetamines and became homeless for 2.5 years as a result. It was reported incorrectly that Saturn had passed away, but in fact he has a serious brain injury which limits his cognitive abilities. Now, speaking of the 4th member, Dean Malenko managed to have a strong career following his retirement in 2001 as a WWE agent. However, in 2010, Malenko suffered a heart attack, which was nearly an end for the former Cruiserweight champion. Speaking to WWE.com in 2011, Malenko stated, "I had about a 30-minute window to get to the hospital, or I wouldn't be having this conversation with you." Malenko says he was gone for 3 minutes before resuscitation and defibrillators pulled him back. Malenko revealed that he now gets a second opportunity at life. But there you have it, guys. Unfortunately, 10 of the most depressing WWE facts. Be sure to leave your comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already, follow us on Instagram and Facebook for exclusive lists, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.